Oh, okay, well, I did see.
Well, looky there.
Oh, yeah.
How's your daddy? Good. Yeah.
I want to go do it, but, okay.
Kids, you get around? Okay.
You still mind that?
Well, I know.
No, 97.
You know, if you're gonna have to, we're gonna do the
I know, you already have. She was great. She looks
This meeting of policy and procedures will convene. I see all members here for the committee. We can discuss this tonight. There are 3 ordinances which we're going to look at review. A couple of things. One, it is not our job here to decide to get a win about whatever. If we decide where to go, we have to make sure that the ordinances are correct. The wording is correct, that there's no questions, there's no issues there like this before we decide where to send it on to. Second thing I want to point out is please be patient with us. This is kind of a little uncharted ground for me, and I think for some of the others there. So we'll just kind of deal with it and just please be patient. That's all it's asked. So we'll start out with the first ordinance that we're going to look at review. I'm going to read what it says there so we know which one. This is an ordinance providing for the levy.
You need a motion, a second, and discussion before you get it.
Yeah, but they got to know which one I'm talking about. I don't have a number there or anything.
You've got to get your motion, your second, and your discussion before you can visit about one
Know
ordinance.
which one we're doing. Okay, see, here we go. I have a motion to review.
Motion.
I have a second. I have no second. You cannot review from one with a review. Okay, the next ordinance. Do I have a motion to review?
Motion.
Do I have a second? No second, so we'll move on to that. Next ordinance. Do I have a motion to review? Motion. Do I have a second? No second, so we won't be reviewing that ordinance either.
Yes.
That's it. Any other business we need to attend to? That's all we have to do.
Can we respond to this?
We have to set up any motion, for discussion.
Can you second it?
Yes, you could have seconded it.
Okay. Well, we've already gone through this.
You will have an opponent in the election. Because you cannot sit there when we're not having a discussion.
You want to discuss it?
Well,
You want to discuss it?
well, I think we are discussing.
Well, I'll make a motion for open discussion on all 3 ordinances.
All right, we have a motion discussing all 3 ordinances. Do I hear a second? Okay, then I'll second. But we do need to have a discussion.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you. Can, are we allowed to ask?
Not you, we got to have our discussion. Okay. The first one we're going to discuss is the ordinance providing for the levy of 1/4 of 1% 1.25% sales and use tax within Marion County, Arkansas, and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. So, any discussion? Yes.
This is 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth whereas in the ordinance says that the currently levied sales tax is 1.25, actually it's 1.75. That needs to be corrected.
Okay, which one is that?
It's the 1, 2, 3, 4th whereas.
Well,
Well,
I don't think we're looking at the same one, you know.
No, number 1.
Now, I'm looking at number one.
Well, and then I number wrong?
He said 1.25. This one.
No, the next one.
Oh. 1 through 4. I thought you said number 5.
No, did I?
That's what's true, you said number 5. Number 4.
I might be able to small numbers.
Whereas the county is currently levying sales and use taxes at the rate of 1.25% of authority on operating legislation, so what will your point?
It should be 1.75, since it's current, since they say it's currently, it's 1.75.
Okay,
No, point of order, we're in general discussion, we don't need motion to approve or to accept. No, we're just discussing right now for the benefit of the community so that they can make changes, committee, if they deem necessary before it goes to court.
any other discussion?
Just, should we be discussing about the half cent before the quarter cent? The quarter cent's for maintenance. But don't you have to have something proved first that you're gonna have the maintenance on?
Mayor?
Yeah.
Mayor, respond? This committee is not approving the ordinance. This committee approves the face of the ordinance. We're charged with making sure the language is appropriate for the court or whoever is referred to.
But if the half cent doesn't pass,
Sir?
if the half cent doesn't pass, the other ones mean nothing.
Well, that's probably true in terms of passing the ordinances, but when this committee says the face of this ordinance, the language in this ordinance is appropriate to refer it. In other words, are there any mistakes in the writing of the ordinance? And you're right, because they're all connected, but that's not our job, that would be the court's job. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Mayor?
Yeah.
For instance, on the 5th and 6th, whereas talks about, November 18th. I don't think that's appropriate for this ordinance, because November 18th has nothing to do with this subject. I would like for those two, that the 5th whereas to be struck and the 6th whereas, that really doesn't have much to do with the ordinance, this ordinance.
Okay, now, the 5th one is talking about the November 18th, 2025, which is.
Right.
Okay.
And that particular topic is important to the total concept, but not to this ordinance.
And the 4th one is 1.25, should be 1.75.
Yeah, that's my recommendation.
Any other discussion? Do I hear a motion to have those changes that need to be made?
The general discussion, we're not doing.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is-
we don't.
this is not
But, okay,
It's for the purpose of better understanding the ordinances.
is there anything else we need to cover on that? Okay, we move on to the second one. Correct? the second one is an ordinance calling for a special election in Marion County, Arkansas, and questioning the issuing bonds under amendment number 62 to the Constitution of the State of Arkansas for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of new park and recreation facilities, levying a new 0.5% sales and use tax for the purpose of retiring such bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto. Any discussion? Yes.
To, Josephine, then probably need legal counsel in this. For the 0.25%, we have a leveling ordinance and then a language ordinance. I don't remember in 2016 if that's the way we did it or not, but this particular ordinance does not have an associated leveling ordinance. There's no ordinance that levens the tax. Is that necessary?
Okay. I'll answer your question this way. Way I understand how this tax stuff works is the court, if it so chooses, refers a ballot measure to the ballot. And if it's passed, then you're levying the tax. Can't levy the tax until the voters vote to approve it. And again, I'm maybe spitballing here a tad, but and I won't be sure I'm on the same sheet of music with you, because as Justice Johnson announced the ordinances, then I got them out of order. So is there a particular one?
The legal question is, and I think you just answered it, we don't need a ordinance to levy a tax until the voters approve the language. Is that correct?
Correct, until the voters approve the tax.
So that makes ordinance number one moot, because ordinance number one deals with levying the 0.25% tax. So it needs to be tabled till after the March 3rd.
I see what you're saying. And let me share this.
Sure.
It's probably best for me to reach out to Sarah and Sarah being the, I can't say Sarah's last
Sergiano, yeah. And she was willing to be available on Zoom tonight.
Well, I'll just reach out to her because we still have a little bit of time here. And yours is a good question. And while I've got to the point in my career, I can guess pretty close on these answers. I don't want to be wrong on this one. So I can get her a note fairly quickly and get something turned around for the group. Those things.
In regard to that, Chair, I would move that we table ordinance one until we get legal counsel.
Any other discussion on that?
Yes, sir. Number two.
Well, okay, on one, we'll be done with one.
Well, you got a motion on the table right now, so
All right,
the table number one.
Sarah, second.
We're in general discussion, you don't.
Okay,
Okay, well, that's fine. But we can't do much. If we comes back, we would have to wait until we get legal instruction. I agree with you. So, just for that. But may I address number two?
y'all feel free.
I'm sorry. I don't want to overwhelm the committee if you got other things. I just have thoughts. On ordinance two, dealing with a 0.5, in the language itself, I'm in the second paragraph, last sentence, starting with "in order to provide." That is either a different 0.25%. If it's intended to be the same 2.5%, it shouldn't be in that language. Because this language is about the 0.5%.
Okay.
That's on page 3, page number 2.
So it's,
Second paragraph.
yeah, it's the second paragraph that pretty much the last two sentences.
Okay. So what we're talking about is the ballot title on page 3. Okay. That would be, as I jokingly shared with Judge Stumple a little bit ago, Sarah carries more malpractice insurance than I do with regard to doing these bond issues and things along those lines. I will share with you again, I appreciate the question with regard to the ballot title, actually what the voters see. I personally prefer a lot to what bond counsel prepares. So as to the direct answer to that question, I can't give you one, but I'll put this on the list as number 2 to get with Sarah and get an answer.
Ma'am.
So there's a confusion point that I had on this one is that, are we talking on the 2.5 sales tax and that sentence next to the last sentence, so they the same or they different?
The purpose is different.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
These ordinances were prepared by people that specialize in this type of ordinance. And if they draft it and as Sam puts it, they're paying for a high liability insurance, I have no issue with any of it.
May I rebuttal? And respectfully, if the leveling ordinance passes, the purpose of a .25
I understand.
is different than in the language.
We have to rely on them.
No, I don't want to rely on them. I want the language to be right. The language says it's for the retirement of the bonds, which doesn't make any sense because you already got a .5 to retire the bonds. And in the leveling ordinance, it says it's for improvement, construction, and that sort of stuff. And I can read it, but I can't find it. But in this one, it just says it's for the purpose of retiring the bonds. Now, it's either 2.25% increases or 1. If it's 1, then those two things have to match. Because the court says, the public says it's to retire the bonds. And then we come back to levy it, and it's for construction. That's not the same thing.
So I think I think the underlying principle is that it's similar to what we did with the sheriff's office. There's a set amount of money to build it. And then once it's built, then it goes down to the 0.25 for maintenance.
Well, I would agree with that, except the language doesn't say that.
Understand.
The language says it's for retirement of the bonds. When the voters see that ballot, they're requesting to approve a 0.5% bond issue, and the possibility, not the actual, but the possibility of an additional 0.25 to retire the bonds. Not maintenance, to retire the bonds.
May I interject? Am I allowed to speak? Okay. I've spent a considerable amount of time visiting with Sarah.
Okay.
And basically, the $0.25 they have to be voted on at the same time. So it's a .5 to build it, a .5 retires when the building's paid off. The $0.25 is for maintenance. They have to be voted on at the same time. Now, according to Sarah, the $0.25 has 3 purposes, okay?
Okay.
Number 1, it's to maintain the building. Number 2, if the .5 proves to be insufficient to pay the bond that year, then they can withdraw monies from the $0.25 to meet the bond. Now, that does not happen very often at all, but it has to be in here legally to protect the county, that if the .5 fails to meet the building requirements, the payoff, then they can use it. So it's not, it's a backup plan. It's not a separate thing. The $0.25 is clearly for maintenance. And then as a backup payoff, and then the third thing is if one passes and the other one does not, then we had to designate where that money would go, and we designated to county general. So respectfully, we are looking out for our county. I just wish our county would look out for us.
May I respond?
We need you guys to help us. We're trying to do a good
May I
thing for the
respond?
county.
Yeah, sure.
Hurry, right?
So, yes, sir.
Okay, so your second point, okay, so the 1/4 cent is a backup if the bond 0.5% doesn't cover it.
Correct.
But some of the literature I saw that was posted online, I thought that 1/4 cent with the figures you came up with was just about maxed out, and you guys said that you would be looking for donors, or I can't remember exact language, if that 1/4 cent didn't fulfill those needs.
The 1/4 will pay for staffing and utilities and some building maintenance. But the reason, what we were explaining to the public was the reason there will be some mild charges to use certain parts of the building is because we need that money for maintenance. You know,
But if the 1/4 cent is a safety net for the 0.5% you just said.
Yes,
Okay, so if that 1/4 cent money coming in for the 1/4 cent doesn't, if it breaks even, there's no safety net, so would the county be responsible then?
you know, as far as I know, that just almost never happens.
Almost.
But
You
what
can't
she,
have
what
almost.
she said to us is by law, they have to be able to say that they can recoup it. But you never hear of that happening, where there's a maintenance. It just doesn't. Usually, I mean, Stevens Finance, they've got this down to a penny. They know what they're doing. They know what the projections are for Marion County. And they've got worked into the 1/2 cent, they have a reserve in there. That's part of the total price of the project, is the issuance of the bonds and the reserve. So am I anxious about that? No. No, but by law, they have to say that. If they have to come looking for money, the 1/4 will be next. But does that happen? No. And they also have to have, if one passes and the other one doesn't, you would think that it would just stop. It would not. If it does, they don't pass, but no, by law, they have to say, this is where the money's gonna go if both don't pass.
Can I ask one other thing? Is, you know, the 1/4 and a 1/2 cent, why wasn't it all one ordinance?
I believe because there's two, maybe three reasons for that. First of all, the 1/2 cent is like the jail. It's a bond. It's a construction building. It's an improvement bond. So, and it's temporary. It's only going to last as long as to pay off the bill, in other words, and then it's gone, just like the jail bond. So it has to be legally a separate, yeah.
Okay.
And then the 1/4 though is permanent and it is for maintenance only. Now, she was very good, very thorough in here in that she gave the county a lot of leeway. I mean, if you look at that 1/4 really carefully, she's giving you for maintenance or new additions. She made it very broadly based so that you would not be pinned in.
Ma'am.
Yeah, go.
Again, we're not right now approving or disapproving these, okay? I'm looking at the language. I'm the voter looking at this language. What I see is you guys, the county wants to raise the tax by 0.75%, okay? And now, let's go over to the court. Let's say the public has agreed to that, to this language, okay? Well, when you go over to the court can't say that 0.25 is to acquire, construct, improve, because you changed the purpose of what the voters agreed to. The voters said the 0.25 is to help retire the bonds. That's what the voters said. Now you go over to the court, we can't change that. We can't say that this is for general use of the county, which that's what the ordinance says. So these two have to agree.
I can only tell you what we have talked about. And
Okay,
she-
well, I
and the judge
appreciate
talked
that,
about that,
but-
and by law, they have to make sure that if the people vote for that money, they have to make sure that it goes to the intended purposes.
Well, one of the problems I have with the language,
Okay.
it tends to occlude the fact that they're raising the tax base by 0.75, not 0.5, 0.75. Now, if that passes, if the voters say, okay, that's cool, well, that's good, then this ordinance has to be changed. We can't levy a 0.25 for a different purpose than the voters agreed to. Does that make sense?
It does. And Justice Johnson, if,
That's been the whole thing, what I read is that there's just too much confusion point there about the half cent and the 2.5. Because you're saying that the half cent's building the thing, the 4 cents maintenance, but we can go to that 4 cents to help with the bond too. But you said it never happens, but yeah, for what if it does, now that 4 cents got to be used over there, where are you gonna come up with money now for the maintenance of that? What are you gonna do, come to county general? And then says, because then we get into a situation there where you're asking the county, you say you don't want the county being any liability, but now you're gonna come to county and say, we gotta have more money for this. Because that end brings up, let's say, you're charging a fee, but you don't get enough people that are coming in there. And just to be real honest with you, I've talked to people in bull shows, and I think also in the northern part of the county, they're not gonna come down here to this. Let's just get honest. They go to Mount Home, and I think some of them up in the other, like Prime Slant, whatever, they go, there's a place in Missouri, they go up in there. That's what I understand. So you're gonna have to be real careful there because you don't wanna put the county liability, and all I see here is a real possibility of that happening. And here's the other thing to think about, and God forbid, this thing, the Lord say, okay, and do it, but then you don't have as many people coming to it as what you planned on. You've got to think about that. And it just gets into, to me, it's the confusional thing there. It's like, yeah, we'll pull from there to there. Then, okay, now what are you going to do? We're paying the help, paying the maintenance. And now the county's in a liability there that really we were told, well, we don't want to get there. Okay, Sam?
so, I want to take Justice Johnson, your point, Justice Reed's point, and then I heard them call you Chuck, but I don't know your last.
That's good enough.
Okay. So, it would help me, and I think it helps the folks out here, if we could put some numbers to the shortage situation that we've been discussing. I want to be sure I understand the concern about being short in some money factor. Is it, if it passes, we build it, it's the day-to-day operation? Was that your question as well, Chuck?
The water cent is designated by ordinance to be maintenance and upkeep, but you have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Who's gonna replace, I mean.
That what if the quarter cent isn't sufficient to run the facility?
Correct.
So, that's an excellent question.
Which is what I brought up about where we're going to go.
Correct. And with regard to where we are right now, it's hard to put something down to say, well, guys, quarter cent is a quarter cent. But in the grand scheme of things, that's the deal. It's a quarter cent to run the place. And there can't be coming back, I'll just tell everybody, you can't come back to county general, can't. Because that wasn't the deal at the end of the day. If you ask for a quarter cent to run the place, quarter cent's what you get. And I think that's more than fair. With regard to Justice Reed's discussion with regard to the language in the ballot title, when you take them together, I certainly see your concern on the last 2 sentences in the ballot title calling for the half cent election. I certainly see your concern. I can visit with Sarah to see if there's a way to simplify that language. And as for the justices on the court, tax issues are complex. As we all start with the basic premise, what the people vote on is what we do. And the only way it changes is if there's another vote. sometimes these ballot titles, if you go to vote on the constitutional amendment, it's that long in 2-point font, and you gotta have, super duper readers in order to read it and understand it. I certainly see it. I certainly see the concern. I can certainly get with Sarah and see what can be done with that. The other thing, there was some question about why these two separate ballot types. Tax votes in Arkansas are arcane at best. And so there are some real vagaries in tax laws as to why these things are required to be voted on. In essence, it's one issue at a time. The issue to build it, the issue to maintain it. What got us in a bit of a pickle with the sheriff's office is that we voted to maintain the thing, but not to build it. Marie made a point, and it is a good one, with regard to paragraph 3 in the quarter sentence, as to at least allow, if the building's not going to be built, that money to go to county general. I would share, and I'm not y'all's lawyer in this instance, but if they vote to maintain it, but not to build it, then y'all have a tough decision to make as to, do you call another election to take this quarter off? Does a person try again to build a facility? Now again, we're 2 steps ahead of ourselves, but that is something to be thinking about, and I certainly appreciate what Sarah did, because it didn't enter our minds in 2016 that we would vote to maintain the sheriff's office, but not build it. It never once entered anybody's mind. But it did, and so here we are. Justice Reed, your questions are really thoughtful and good, and I'll see what we can do about clarifying that language. Might not be able to, but I certainly see the potential for confusion.
Go ahead. Okay, I'm a voter. Would I see both of these languages at the same time?
Yes.
So one says the .25 is to retire the bond. Now I've got another ballot question for the voters that says it's for construction and improvement. What, as a, not a legal mind, but a voter, I would say that's that's 0.5. That's 2 .25. One is for the retired bond, the other one's for maintenance. That's 2 different things.
Well, and also within that, the first part of paragraph 1 of the ballot title is 0.5. It says 0.25. I certainly see that. I certainly see that. And we'll get with Sarah and see what can be done to somewhat simplify that language.
And may I make one final comment?
Yes.
Thank you. This is more self-limiting than you think, because if you are, the people are going to vote yes or no. And so if they're not for it, then we're not going to have a responsible response to the community center. You understand what I'm saying? It won't even get that far. If the people are not going to use it and are not going to support it, they're not going to vote for it either. So I frankly, based on what we're hearing out in the community, I don't worry about the building being used. And I don't worry, and I think Sarah could do a good job making you feel better about the bond, the paying the main construction bond. That is legal language that she has to put in there. It's not because it happens every day. So I think this is self-limiting in its own. It's not even going to get past the people. If it does, then we anticipate they're going to use it. So I think we're okay there.
Okay. One last thing, if you allow me, Justice Johnson. So what Marie shared kind of crystallized what you were asking, and I hope that I have it squared away. If the price tag for the building is the price tag for the building, if the people vote at $15 million and the bids come in at 16.5. We're building a building for $15 million. Budget's gotta be moved, things along those lines.
Yes.
What's the actual cost?
No, the top line number is the bonds. That's all amount of money can be spent. You can't go beyond what the people approve.
16.5.
The building, the
16.5.
building is 14,
Well, I'm just asking a curiosity question because I was here. I was here for it.
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, if it's, I mean, I thought it was up to 16.5 now.
Well, I'm just throwing out a number.
No.
It's whatever
I mean,
people
I've
vote
seen
on.
something published that was like, it went from 11 to 14.5, and now it's like 16 point something, no?
now, you're talking about the price tag on the entire project, okay? I have broken down here for you. The 16.5 is, like Sam said, is the top limit, but that includes the cost of the building, that includes a contingency construction inflation fund, which will, if we don't need it, will go to pay into the building. That includes Stevens' estimated costs for bond issuance and the debt service reserve. And that is $1,432,500. So the total cost of the project, including the financing, the bond issuance and everything, like Sam said, the top number is 16.5. And we went back 3 times and cut the building down so that the total cost would be as minimal as possible. I have a
Just a
handout.
question though, okay, say projected starting is a year from now. What happens at that point, even if that factor that is factored in for cost overruns or whatever,
Inflation.
what if it's higher than that?
Still 16, it's still whatever number the voters approve.
So what happens to the building if it's not finished?
We start taking, and this happens in all construction. Mountain Home went through it, Harrison went through it. We go back and we look at the building and we say, okay, we're gonna have to cut something. We're gonna have to cut something because this is the top, this is it.
And the other thing, if we vote to build a building, we gotta build a building. We have to. Building can't be unfinished, building's gotta be built.
Yeah.
And it be straight down, cut down line.
This is yours. I don't think anything's stuck.
Sam, you may not know this, how many counties do this in Salem? I've researched and I can find none.
That's, you're correct.
It would be
So we're
first.
the test dummy.
We're the first, yes.
Yeah, it would be first.
And so my question is, why doesn't the city of Harrison, city of Clifton, city of Hill, Summit, Clifton? Because every other city does it. Ryan does it, Harrison did it, you know. And I got an email from somebody, a constituent, saying that, you know, about our county audit, you know, we just had audit release and everything. How many things we had and versus the city of Hill has a perfect audit. So it's in the city, correct? Has anybody said anything about, can the sewer system handle all this stuff coming in? Can
Yes.
the public works handle all the stuff that's coming in? Who's gonna have jurisdiction? It's gonna be a county building inside the city, it's gonna be like this, so if, you know, the city of Hill doesn't have a police department, now they use the county, but if somebody come in and say, okay, I want a police department in the city of Hill, is there gonna be jurisdictional issues? There's, you know, there's a lot of things that, and I'm in law enforcement, there's a lot of headbutting going on over jurisdictions. So there's a lot of things that have been thrown, who's gonna own, how much does the county? The county gonna own the whole thing, they gonna own just the building, they gonna own all the property. So none of that has been answered in any of this, and yet we're getting this cart up here before the horse.
We are, the building will be county, the employees will be county. We are a nonprofit. Let me just say, we've been working on this for almost 15 years. We have no city in Marion County that has an adequate tax base to support this building.
Well, we've got
If we do it,
13,000 people in the county, so
it
you
has-
don't have that.
It has to be a countywide project. I mean, we just don't have it. Now, we've been watching, because we've got all kinds of projections, Travis, on what these taxes will generate for the next 20, 30 years. Can we keep up to Chuck's concern. Can we keep up with the 4%? Will that be adequate? We've made all those projections and so far we're good. But the building, because we're a nonprofit, the building will belong to the county, the staff will be county, and our job, and what we're hoping to do is we will, as a nonprofit, support the building with endowments, fundraising. The land, we'll be giving you the land that the building sits on. So, and of course, egress, all that, yeah.
Like the projections that they made, how many people do they project to use the facility paying to break even?
Well, it's not how many, it's charges. We went with charges. In other words, we went with rentals, room rentals, pool. We went with memberships instead of, and of course, people don't have to have a membership to come. But
But there's got to be a number.
we went with daily charges. That is correct. That's correct.
So what's the dollar amount then if it's not people? It's to break even.
I think we had, hang on, I'll get it for you right now. Our in-house, and we went very conservative, and if this was in your packet in April, I have a full budget, everything, your business plan was all in that packet we gave you.
They also said when they came here for that presentation, that the total cost gonna be like $23-something million too.
That was the point I was trying to make earlier, is
And that-
you're saying,
right there.
you're saying the building's gonna cost, I understand the building is gonna cost, let's say, $16.5 million.
That's
But
including financing.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, sir.
that does include financing?
Yes, it does.
That's not what this told me.
No, sir, that is the truth. That's what's in here. That is what's in your ordinance. The entire cost of the project is leveled out at 16.5.
And that's including financing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If I may I have a handout I can give you if you'll let me, please.
They don't have
Can I do that,
any court business.
Mr. Chairman?
That's,
Here, please.
okay, that really is the Quorum Court, really.
No, it's for this committee if you wish it, no?
No, we've gotten off the subject. The subject is the face of the ordinance,
Okay.
not the project.
I have a breakdown for anybody who would like it.
Which there are
Explains the project.
There are corrections, we don't know,
Okay.
Mr. Pate, we don't know when those corrections are gonna be made, and they'll have to be resubmitted to this committee.
So, okay, let's stop right there, because that's exactly what it is. We can't make any decision on this till the corrections are done. That's what we're pointing out is what the confusion there.
Okay.
So we're getting really deep into this swamp, and we need to kind of just feed back up to the shoreline.
Okay.
Is that the corrections really need to be there, so there's not any confusion. Because we really can't decide on that until those corrections are done.
Well, Mr. Chairman, may I ask you a question?
Okay.
And that of the rest of the board. Is there any reason for us to come back? If this board, if this committee is not going to second a motion, is there any reason for us to come back? I'm serious. If we will get you any information you want, I'll resubmit the whole business plan, the budget, whatever you folks want. We'll get Sarah here. Tell us what you want to do.
There's going to be some clarification there, because there's just too much confusion about this. That's all I think. And the other thing I'm looking at is that it's putting the county really more out there than we talked about this a long time ago, and I was with that bench, and I like that deal. But it seems like it's moved where the county's going to be even more of the responsibility of that than really you guys as a nonprofit. So it shifted like that. And a personal observation, I may be totally wrong on this. You tried to get grant money, you looked at it really far, maybe it was 15 years, for trying to find, you've not been able to obtain any grant money.
There's no grant.
Okay?
That's not-
The only reason I can come up with, and I may be wrong, but if you're looking at it again, this is the only county in the state of Arkansas that is doing that. Everything else, like it's a city, and I think they're looking at, wait a minute, we're doing a grant for a countywide thing, and they're looking at about, or you're gonna get enough people from the county to come in to use the facility. Again, and one of the things about with Marion County, we really are sitting in a bad place, if you want to put it, with Boone County to the west and Baxter County to the east. And we don't have the sales revenue that they have for obvious reasons. And of course, people say we need to spend more money at home, and I agree with that. But people will go to either Harrison or Mount Home for big ticket items or whatever, and then while they're over there, they may get into what I call the mom and pop, little small retail stuff. That's why I've watched here. There's been a lot of small businesses in Marion County that just, they stay for a while and then they can't make it. And I understand because locals are not shopping enough on that. And that's been, I've seen that for decades.
That's what we want. We want to keep people spending their money right here at home,
Right.
on the community center. We have business promotion as part of the proposal. Tourism, this building can start building our tax base. Bringing people, keeping people closer to home. That's the whole idea. We have a grant writer on, et cetera.
Motion to end discussion until we get corrections to these ordinances.
Thank you.
I have a
Thank you very
motion
much.
to end the discussion till we can get these corrections, and then we can, without here a second.
Second.
Motion made second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Two corrections is all they want.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn, have a second? Second. Motion been made second to adjourn, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?